Exclusive contracted novel by Feilu Novel Network. Navigation. Starting with floating fruits, I'm completely exploding Nami Pirate. Navigation, system, cool text, beauty, upgrade. Roya travels through the world of navigation and binds to the check.In system. At the beginning of the game, I signed in and received a floating fruit, my strength skyrocketed, and I directly dealt with the dragon squad. Luffy. Loya, you are the real pirate king, and I am willing to assist you. Nami. Brother Roya, Roya said, don't be too moisturized in this little day. Feilu Novel Network reminds you that this novel and its characters are purely fictional. If there are any similarities, they are purely coincidental and should not be imitated. Chapter 1. Navigation World, Sign-in System. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Ding. The next check.In location is Log Town, and check.In is expected to start in 20 days. Please arrive at the designated location on time to sign in. When Roya woke up from sleep, he received a prompt from the system and was not in a hurry to set off with a 20-day buffer period. Not bad, Roya is a traveler. He somehow crossed into the world of the Pirate King, and based on the principle of settling for what comes, he quickly adapted to the environment. Moreover, the system is also bound, and there are cheats on it, so Loya has nothing to be afraid of. After enjoying breakfast, Loya, who had not yet seen the dragon return, began transplanting the orange tree. Nami deeply loves the oranges here, so Loya plans to transplant some orange trees onto the boat so that when the oranges are ripe, Nami can taste the taste of her hometown. However, the current sailboat clearly has limited space, so Roya had to temporarily transplant the orange tree to the crew's training room, which is relatively spacious. I secretly decided in my heart that after arriving at the Seven Waters City, I would build a supermassive warship, which must be equipped with all kinds of facilities inside. As for why he doesn't directly occupy several islands as a base like the Golden Lion, Roya believes that he is still in the stage of adventure, and his informal identity as a pirate is not suitable for such a bold approach. If he is wanted for some reason in the future, he must move 2 islands and put them in the Marinfando area for a joke. After completing the transplantation of the orange tree, the dragon had not yet returned. In her spare time, Roya chose to take a nap, while several women chatted happily and began preparing lunch. Until after lunch, the village was bustling with discussions. It is said that the dragon pirates have returned. That's right, and this time a lot of protection fees have been collected. I'm afraid many people have been harmed by them because they can't afford to pay the protection fees. Shoo, keep your voice down, don't let anyone hear you. These scumbags only know how to oppress the weak, and the nearby naval base is also colluding with others. These people are extremely detestable. Hey, you're still saying, be careful. His friends immediately covered his mouth and cautiously scanned the surroundings, confirming that no one heard before slowly releasing it. Upon learning of the return of the dragon pirates, Nami's family quickly gathered and headed straight towards the dragon manor. Arriving at the entrance of the manor, there were bursts of loud laughter coming from inside. The fish people were discussing their evil deeds, as if it was something they were proud of. Karina, who couldn't bear it anymore, stormed into it angrily and sternly questioned. Do you guys have no conscience at all? How could you think that bullying and harming others at will is something to be proud of? Faced with Karina's angry accusations, the fish people all responded with sneers. Where are these ignorant humans from? They are so bold that they dare to break into my dragon's territory without authorization. A giant toothed shark with a serrated nose walked out, his cold gaze fixed on Karina. At this moment, Nami, Loya, and others followed closely behind, firmly standing behind Karina. Seeing Nami's appearance, the evil dragon's eyes flashed with a cold light. Oh. So it's our map painter Nami. Did these people come with you? Nami was not swayed by the dragon's words, but instead responded calmly. Dragon, today is your end, and I will never allow you to continue to poison the villagers of Kakexia village and surrounding villages. Oh. It seems like we have found a support. Do you think these few people alone can bring me down? Ha ha ha. The dragon's tone is cold, yet it emits a wild laugh. Xiaoba, Krubi, go kill those guys and bring Nami over to me. Our map painter seems to be a bit rebellious and needs a good lesson. Understood, Dragon Boss. Upon receiving the command, Octopus Man Xiaoba and Cartilaginous Fish Man Krubi immediately stood up and charged towards Roya and others with a grim expression. Karina quickly formed her fingerprint, forming a transparent protective barrier in front of her. The evil dragon was stunned and about to give a warning, but it was already too late. I only saw Karina waving her powerful arms like a boxer, reciting the title of the move at the same time. Impact Shield. The speed at which two mermaids charge is as fast as the speed at which they bounce back. The transparent barrier instantly hit the two people, and the powerful impact force bounced them out. Damn it, it's actually a demon fruit ability person. Everyone, jump into the water and fight against them in the water. The dragon urgently orders. Want to escape into the water? It's not that easy, you all have to bury yourselves here today. Lion-shaped earthquake ground fissure. 6 huge lion heads instantly surrounded the fisherman. Damn it, another demon fruit power expert. When did so many difficult characters emerge from the East China Sea? The evil dragon burst out in a cold sweat, and at this moment he had no time to think much. If he couldn't break through, he might have died here today. Shark, impact, blast. The evil dragon transformed into a swift arrow and rushed towards one of the lion heads like lightning. Boom. This blow was as powerful as a cannon, blasting a large hole in the head of the stone lion. However, under Roya's control, the cave immediately returned to its original state, and such an attack could not penetrate his ground fissure defense. How could this be? What kind of demon fruit power person is this, creating something so hard? The dragon exerted all his strength, leaving only a small hole on the stone lion's body, which quickly returned to its original state, leaving the dragon feeling desperate. He once served in the Sun Pirates and galloped along the Great Waterway, but was arrested due to insufficient strength. Later, he was released in Shiping on the condition of becoming the 7 martial seas under the king. However, due to disagreements with Shirhei's beliefs, he chose to leave the island of the Fish Man and come to this East China Sea to act recklessly. He knew well that he was not a match for the strong ones of the Great Navigation Channel, so he chose to develop his power in the East China Sea, which is known as the weakest sea area. I never expected to encounter 2 so tricky demon fruit powerhouses in the East China Sea. Don't expect to succeed. With your strength, it's impossible to escape. Your existence is a waste of resources. Let's all disappear. Roya was suspended in mid-air, coldly overlooking the fish trapped on the ground. What a joke. Fish people are far more noble than humans. How could fish people be eliminated by humans? The evil dragon swung its large saw blade and slashed wildly, roaring and roaring. He cannot accept being defeated by contemptuous humans. However, with a gentle grip from Roya, the soil gradually closed and completely devoured all the mermaids. In the end, all members of the dragon pirates were defeated by this move. The stone pillars, hundreds of meters high, are like creeping rhizomes. Some tightly wrap them, suffocating them to death, while others suffer from continuous compression to death. And where Roya was unaware, a news bird reporter who happened to pass by was using a camera to capture the shocking scene that had just happened. Witnessing the disappearance of the long-standing nightmare, Nami could no longer suppress her emotions, tears streaming down her face, and hugged Roya who had fallen to the ground. Thank you, Loya. Romer remained silent and gently patted Nami's back, helping her calm down. Qingming outing and happy reading. Charge 100 and get 500 VIP coupons. Immediate recharge, activity period. April 4th to April 6th. Chapter 2. The Girl Nami, in Her Breast. You are listening at novel full.audio. He knew very well that this young girl had endured countless hardships during this long period of time. At this moment, it was the time for her to release her emotions. He only needed to silently accompany and wait for Nami to self-soothe. After releasing years of accumulated pressure in Loya's embrace, Nami's face once again burst into a smile. System.At. Successfully recruited crew member Nami and rewarded with a super battleship design. I thought to myself that for myself, who possesses the ability of floating fruits, it may be more practical to directly control the island in the future, and the design of this super battleship seems somewhat redundant. But looking at Nami, who regained her smile in her arms, Loya felt that it was already worth it. Why don't we tell the villagers the good news? Roya smiled and caressed Nami's head, asking. Will the dragon's property not be pursued? Nami shook her head and said seriously, the money was all extracted by the evil dragon from the surrounding villages. Let Aegeon handle it and he will ensure that this money is returned to the affected villages. I didn't expect you to have such an awakening, I thought. Why do you think so? Is that how you view me? Nami pretended to be angry and grabbed Roya's cheek. No, I'm just joking. Just leave it to Uncle Aegeon to handle, said Luoya with a painful expression, secretly enjoying this intimate encounter. Noqigao couldn't help but smile when she saw the interaction between Nami and Roya. Under Nami's eager leadership, this good news quickly spread throughout the entire village. After learning about this, the villagers cheered loudly into the sky. As night fell, a raging bonfire lit up in the center of the square, and the villagers celebrated this joy with a grand banquet. Song and dance rose to life, and laughter filled the entire square. At this moment, Loya truly felt the excitement in their hearts. There was joy, happiness, and the exhilaration after the fall of the dragon. These villagers have suffered from oppression and worry about not being able to raise enough protection funds, resulting in misfortune for themselves or their families. However, from now on, they no longer have to endure such bullying and only want to immerse themselves in this celebration, even if it is just a brief dream. As their savior, Roya naturally became the object of the villagers eagerly toasting. However, for him with a steel body, alcohol is like drinking water and cannot affect his clarity at all. Until the villagers on the square were all drunk, Loya felt a little tired and returned to Nami's cottage, falling asleep on the sofa. With a creaking sound, Nami, who had not appeared overnight, pushed open the door and decided to bid farewell to her past self. First, she had to change her dragon pirate's tattoo and replace it with the same pattern as in the original work. Looking at Loya, who was sleeping soundly, Nami approached him cautiously and leaned down tenderly, giving him a gentle kiss on the cheek. After completing all of this, Nami glanced around at the darkness like a guilty little cat, and then returned to her room. Roya, who was sleeping soundly, outlined a cunning smile at the corner of his mouth, as if saying, everything is under control. During this sleep, Roya slept until noon the next day. On this day, Cachexia village welcomed an uninvited visitor. I am Colonel Mouse, the highest commander of the 16th Navy Branch. I have received news that this is the stronghold of the dragon pirates, and my trip is to suppress the dragon pirates. Hey, villagers over there, do you know where the dragon pirates' lair is? Colonel Mouse instructed his subordinates to forcibly bring a villager to face for questioning. Under the coercion of Colonel Mouse, the villagers revealed the fact that the dragon pirates had been defeated. GG, as stated in the intelligence, Colonel Mouse whispered softly. He had learned that the dragon pirates had been destroyed, and he came this time to reap the rewards of the war and take over all the wealth that the dragon pirates had plundered for many years. Therefore, he set off early from the naval base and rushed to this place. Colonel Mouse led numerous navies straight to Nami's residence. According to the intelligence he received, it was Nami who led the people to defeat the dragon pirates and confiscated all the treasures. Soon, Colonel Mouse's troops surrounded Nami's cabin. Everyone who heard the commotion outside walked out of the house and saw a large number of navies surrounding the area, all looking surprised. "Are you the little thief, Cat Nami? Hurry up and hand over all the dirty money from the dragon pirates and the Bailey you secretly hid. These are all illegal gains from pirates and will be taken over by the colonel of our Navy's 16th branch, GGGG. Colonel Mouse stared at Nami with a cunning expression on his face and smiled, relying on his naval identity. He believed that these people dared not openly disobey naval orders, and therefore acted extremely arrogant. "What nonsense are you talking about? When we went to the naval base for help, you turned a deaf ear. Now that the dragon has been defeated by us, you actually want to steal the villagers' hard-earned money. I will never give you the money." Nami angrily asked. "GGG, I don't know what you're saying. We've never received any reports from the public. I see it's clear that you villagers are sheltering the dragon pirates group and tolerating a pirate to commit crimes in a nearby village. You deserve more than you deserve." All the Navy listened to the order, arrested these guys who were sheltering pirates, and brought back all the stolen money. Colonel Mouse shamelessly pinned the charge of sheltering on the villagers of Kokoja village, and his expression made Roya extremely dissatisfied. "It's no use reasoning with them, Nami, let me deal with them." Roya protected Nami behind her and stepped forward. "Gigi, who are you? How dare you resist the orders of the Navy? Those who obstruct naval law enforcement will be treated as pirates and caught together." "Oh, you want to know who I am? I am the one who will end your lives." Roya could no longer tolerate Colonel Mouse's disgusting laughter, and before the Navy attacked, he took the initiative. "Chop the waves." Even without the use of armed aura, the power of this chopping wave is enough to easily tear apart the enemy in front of us. Wow! Before the Navy could react, everyone in front was instantly cut off, including the body of Colonel Mouse. The Navy behind them, which had originally surrounded Roya, was frightened and speechless. They tried to escape this demon-like figure, but their legs were as if they had been filled with lead and could not move. Roya did not give them any chance to beg for mercy, and in an instant, he wiped out all the navies. In less than 3 seconds, the naval forces brought by Colonel Mouse were completely annihilated. "Roya!" Nami quickly stepped forward and looked at the corpses on the ground, unable to resist swallowing a mouthful of saliva. "Don't worry, since they have already come to your door, this matter is unavoidable." Roya withdrew his sword and sheathed it, then turned to the women behind him and said, "The Navy's trip may have been to win military glory, perhaps without reporting to their superiors, and now they have been killed here by me. There are only 2 options left at the moment." Karina finished analyzing the current situation and raised 2 fingers at Roya. "Tell me about it." "Oh my, the first choice is for us to escape immediately now, and we may face naval pursuit later." It seems that the situation is severe and he is about to be wanted so soon. So, what is the other plan? Qingming outing and happy reading. Charge 100 and get 500 VIP coupons. Immediate recharge, activity period. April 4th to April 6th. Chapter 3. Preparing to eliminate the Dragon Gang. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Karina took a deep breath and revealed the second strategy with a complex expression. The second method is to infiltrate the 16th branch and eliminate all naval members inside, so that no one will know that it was our Shisai who did it. Roya lowered his head and pondered for a moment. Although the second plan seemed to be the most effective, he did not want to easily embark on the path of slaughter. Even within the Navy, not everyone is a villain. Therefore, Roya decided to personally go and see the situation. "Have you made up your mind?" Karina stepped forward to inquire about his decision. "Not yet. Let's go investigate the 16 branches first. The naval base may contain the information I want to know." Roya shook his head as he still had no consensus on how to make a decision. Okay, Nami and I will accompany you on the journey. Okay, Karina and Nami will accompany me on a trip, while Kaya and Noqigao stay here and wait for me. Roya turned around and spoke to Kia and Noqigao, then picked up the two women with her arms around her waist, rose into the air, and headed straight for the naval base. Kaya's face showed concern, while Noqigao stepped forward to embrace her and comfort her, saying, "Don't worry, they will definitely handle it properly." Under Roya's relentless flight, he soon arrived at the 16th Naval Branch. After carefully avoiding the heavily guarded sailors, they arrived all the way in front of the colonel's office. After solving the guard at the door, the three of them began searching in the office. Quickly, they found a series of criminal evidence about Colonel Mouse. Originally, this naval base was not completely dark. The once righteous Navy reported to Colonel Mouse after receiving help from the people, but was suppressed by him. After repeatedly encountering this matter, these conscientious navies finally couldn't bear it anymore and chose to expose the truth to the Navy headquarters. Unfortunately, their actions were detected by Colonel Mouse's undercover agents stationed at the headquarters, leading to them being charged with desertion and expelled from the Navy. From then on, these people who were expelled from the Navy were not only unable to join the Navy anymore, but even their words were no longer trusted by the Navy. So, the entire naval base was left with only those sailors who colluded with Colonel Mouse. It's really despicable, it's like a bird of a feather. There isn't even a decent person here. After reading the materials, Nami and Karina were filled with anger. That's right, such a naval base will only harm the surrounding civilians, so there is no need for it to continue to exist. Roya's gaze was firm, and she had made up her mind. She no longer covered her figure and walked straight out of the Navy colonel's office. "Who are you?" "Invaders have entered." Not long after, they encountered several sailors, who pointed their guns at Roya. However, Roya's figure disappeared from their sight in an instant, and the fears ended their lives. Subsequently, Roya used the storage space to collect all the bodies. Next, there will be a major clean up of the naval base. In just half an hour, Roya cleared the corrupt Navy from the base. After confirming that there were no signs of life in the base based on the dominant perception of sight, hearing, and color, Roya threw all the bodies into the sea. Sea beasts smelling the stench swarmed in, devouring these corpses. Why throw these navies into the sea? Nami was puzzled by Loya's actions. "I want to take this naval base." Colonel Mouse is an extremely hedonistic person who has built many luxurious facilities here. If not utilized, it would be too wasteful. I don't want to leave these things for the next Navy to take over this area to enjoy. Roya explained very clearly, although Nami was still slightly confused. "Take it away." "Where can I get it?" "Hee, just watch it." He did not elaborate, but let Nami see with her own eyes. I saw Roya pressing her hand on the ground, trying to unleash the power of the floating fruit. Boom boom. In an instant, the entire naval base began to tremble violently, and Nami and Karina felt as if the scene before them was rising. The successive scenes completely overturned their worldview, and the two of them stared at Roya in astonishment. Flying. Flying up, the entire naval base is actually flying up. Nami described the scene in shock. As the naval base rose into the air, the original location was immediately submerged by seawater. At this point, the naval base has completely detached from the sea and is suspended in the air. Wow, fortunately my stamina is strong enough. If it weren't for absorbing a lot of energy to replenish my stamina before, I'm afraid I wouldn't have easily lifted the entire naval base. Luo Yachang breathed a sigh of relief and wiped the sweat off his forehead. Using the fruit power to float the entire island is indeed quite exhausting, let alone he has not yet awakened this power. How did you do it? This is a whole island, isn't it? Karina approached and asked, as a demon fruit power practitioner, she had never imagined that fruit power could exert such a powerful effect. The key lies in the strength of the fruit's ability and sufficient physical support. Just like your strongest defense, if you can develop the fruit's ability to the extreme, there will be no attack in the world that can break through defense. Roya smiled and explained to Karina. I plan to raise this island to a height of 10,000 meters and use it as our secret base in the future. Roya looked at the transformed naval base with satisfaction, but the Navy flag was particularly glaring. He secretly decided to find a time to redecorate this place and turn it into his own headquarters. Let's go back to Cachexia village to rest for a few days first, and then set off for Logue town. Roya put forward a suggestion, and the two women who had not yet regained their spirits did not listen carefully to what he said, only nodded lightly and agreed. Roya then controlled the island to ascend into the air, and then led Nami and Karina to explore the treasure trove of the naval base. Colonel Mouse used various means to extract wealth from surrounding villages, and the huge annual military expenses he received were all used for personal enjoyment, as evidenced by the luxurious facilities inside the base. Now, these have all become items in Roya's bag. When they came out of the Navy treasury, Roya truly realized how wealthy Colonel Mouse was. Bailey alone had a total of 3 billion and even cherished a few famous knives. This huge sum of money immersed Nami in a state of ecstasy for the next few days, even whispering in her sleep, "A lot of money, it's all mine." Returning to the village of Cachexia and seeing the three people safe and sound, Noqigao and Kia breathed a sigh of relief. 3 more peaceful days passed. Roya showed a cunning smile as she was about to take hold of Noqigao. "You foolish captain. What did you do to my sister again? Hurry up and board the ship and set sail." Nami kicked Roya away with a flying kick. "I'm just trying to make your two sisters equal." Roya put on a look of a wronged little daughter. Law, covering the cheek kicked by Nami, and looked at her with sorrowful eyes. However, this kick did not cause any harm to him at all. Noki looked at the familiar daily interaction between Loya and Nami and couldn't help but laugh out loud, then revealed a gentle smile and said softly, "Of course you can." How could Noqigao agree? I thought she would remain silent as usual, but this time she gave a rare affirmative answer. Roya couldn't believe her ears. Nami was also surprised. She thought her sister would hold on to the orange orchard, but she didn't expect that Roya could persuade her to go out to sea together with persistent pleading. Qingming outing and happy reading. Charge 100 and get 500 VIP coupons. Immediate recharge, activity period. April 4th to April 6th. Chapter 4. Nami and Noqigao, two girls together. You are listening at novelfull.audio. After all, I cannot refuse such a sincere invitation forever, and I also long to see the vastness of the sea. Noki blinked playfully, her mischievous and adorable appearance contrasting sharply with her usual warm and virtuous image. Great, let's go. Roya excitedly picked up Nami and Noki and spun them around. The two of them screamed incessantly, and in front of the childlike Loya, they also chuckled lightly. Set sail. The goal is to point to the end of the ocean under the vast starry sky. Roya shouted out the slogan for the second year of junior high school and carried the two women into the air. At the edge of the cliff, Aegean stared at the sailing ship gradually fading away, with a smile on his lips. Belle Mel, your daughters have found reliable companions, and from now on, they will embark on a journey to sea. If you were still here, witnessing all of this, you would surely feel immensely gratified. It has been 2 full days since Roya left the village of Kokoja. In the conference room of the naval headquarters building, Marshal Jean Guodouin sat on the main seat, with General Qing Ji, General Huang Yuan, General Qi Go, and General Staff Crane sitting below. In addition, there are several figures who have played a significant role in the Navy, such as Ghost Spider, Fire Mountain, Mole, and Doberman. What is your opinion on the disappearance of the 16th Navy branch and all its members? The Warring States period rubbed their brows and asked questions to everyone present. Just 2 days ago, an urgent report was submitted to the hands of the Warring States period. The 16th Naval Branch mysteriously disappears. The whereabouts of all members are unknown, and the dragon pirates in the East China Sea were annihilated by a double-blade flow swordsman named Roya. The report also includes footage of Roya slaying the dragon pirates, indicating that this double-blade flow swordsman is suspected to possess unknown devil fruit abilities and can manipulate the power of the earth. Subsequently, more information about Roya was exposed, and it was confirmed that he had continuously eliminated more than a dozen pirates with bounties ranging from millions to millions of dollars. These pieces of information were released by Morgan Sachs, president of the World Economic News Agency. When the news bird captured a photo of Roya killing the East China Sea Tyrannosaurus Rex, Morgan Stanley immediately dispatched his subordinates to dig deeper into Roya's related deeds. After investigation, it was discovered that Roya had almost swept through all the notorious pirates in the East China Sea, leaving only opponents who had not yet encountered them. Morgan Gans keenly recognized the significant news value behind it and made all of Roya's actions and achievements public. Nowadays, Roya has become a renowned supernova bounty hunter in the East China Sea. The warring states immediately notified Kapu, who was carrying out a mission in the East China Sea, to go to the 16th branch for inspection. Coincidentally, the three generals returned from their overseas missions, and the warring states urgently convened this meeting to discuss the events that occurred in the East China Sea. The upheaval of the 16th Navy branch seems to be the work of that double-blade swordsman, right? It's just a coincidence. This evil person should be immediately eradicated, and we should immediately dispatch naval forces to deal with it. Red Dog snorted coldly and expressed suspicion that Roya happened to appear in the village of Kokoja near the 16th branch. However, we currently do not have conclusive evidence to prove that the disappearance of the 16th branch is related to him, do we? General Crane calmly expressed his views. Hastily pushing a powerful bounty hunter towards the opposite is not a wise move. The Green Pheasant expressed his opinion on the side. Young people nowadays are really amazing. They can even easily solve the Dragon Pirates group. Not only do they have outstanding swordsmanship, but they also seem to possess extremely powerful devil fruit abilities. The yellow ape leisurely sipped tea and spoke terrifying words, but completely forgot the fact that he had easily defeated and arrested the dragon pirates. On the other hand, Cap quickly rushed to the 16th Naval Branch base, only to find it empty upon arrival. Not to mention the naval base, he didn't even see a small island, which frightened the sailors on board, thinking that the navigation was wrong. After repeated confirmation, it was confirmed that the branch had indeed disappeared. Unable to find any clues, Cap had to turn to the nearby village of Kokoja. When he first arrived on the island, he clearly felt a joyful atmosphere, and the island residents were all filled with joyful smiles. However, with the arrival of the navy, the people's faces became gloomy, and every household tightly closed their doors and windows. Kapu was a bit confused about the situation when a voice came from behind. "May I ask Navy officials, what are you doing here in Kakexia village?" Aegean asked calmly. "Oh my, I finally found someone who can speak. I am a Rear Admiral from the Navy headquarters, and this trip is to investigate the disappearance of the 16th Navy branch. Do you have any relevant clues here?" Seeing someone willing to talk, Cap showed a hearty smile. However, Aegean across from him frowned slightly and then regained his calm tone. "The 16th Navy branch. I'm not very familiar with the situation, but a few days ago a masked man left me a letter saying that if a navy comes to investigate, it can be handed over to you." Aegean took out a letter left by Roya from his arms about Colonel Mouse's various crimes. Kapu took the letter and began to read it. As he read it, his face became increasingly ugly, and his hand holding the letter began to tremble slightly. "These bastards, I have been away from the East China Sea for a while, but I didn't expect this place to be so corrupt." Cap's angry roar echoed, and at this moment he was like an explosive barrel about to explode, filled with anger and nowhere to vent. "We are deeply sorry that our navy has let down the civilians in the village of Kokoja." Kapu bowed deeply to Aegean, with a look of self-blame on his face. Aegean was stunned. How could the Navy, which used to be high and mighty, bow down to civilians? No, Lieutenant General, you speak too seriously. Aegean stood up and helped up Kapu, indicating that he didn't have to blame himself too much. Sigh. Kapu sighed helplessly, feeling powerless at what had happened and regretting why he had not been able to arrive in time. There is one more thing I would like to ask about, which is about the double-blade flow swordsman Roya. Have you seen him during his disappearance at the 16th Naval Branch? Has he engaged in any abnormal behavior? Aegean's expression remained unchanged. When the name Roya was mentioned, his face immediately filled with admiration. He spoke in an admirable tone, Roya, he is the great savior of our village. It was he who defeated the dragon pirates and allowed us and the surrounding villages to regain their freedom. After liberating the village, we celebrated for 5 consecutive days of revelry, and Roya remained with us without any abnormalities during that time. Until 2 days ago, Roya said he had a new journey and planned to travel around the world again. Lord Navy, do you have any further questions? Aegean asked with a smile, while Cap gave him a meaningful glance. I understand. We have a rough understanding of the situation and will dispatch a new batch of navies to station here. We will also investigate the reason for the disappearance of the 16th branch. I promise that similar incidents will never occur again. After Kapu solemnly promised, he led his subordinates back to the ship and immediately took out the phone worm to make a call. Bruno, Kapu, have you made any new progress on your end? Warring States answered the phone worm at the meeting and deliberately increased the volume so that everyone could hear it. Next, Cap elaborated on the situation of the 16th branch and how Roya had been spending time with the villagers for the past 5 days until he left 2 days ago. Bang! The Warring States period angrily punched the table, unable to believe that the diligent and responsible naval bases of the past had become such corrupt places, and even used the excuse of numerous wounded requiring compensation to defraud a large amount of military expenses. Qingming outing and happy reading. Charge 100 and get 500 VIP coupons. Immediate recharge, activity period. April 4th to April 6th. Chapter 5. The Warring States period wants to conquer Roya. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Immediately notify the relevant branches, revoke the deserters' records, and send someone to apologize. If they are willing to return to the Navy, send them back to headquarters for training. The Warring States period ordered the recorder beside him, who immediately ran out of the door and conveyed the order to the soldiers waiting outside. Alas! General Crane let out a helpless sigh. The conference room was completely silent. These guys are so lawless that they consider themselves the hegemon of the East China Sea. There are such scumbags in the Navy. Red Dog couldn't help but roar angrily. It's no use talking about these things now. The entire base no longer exists, and I'm afraid everyone has sacrificed. Let's talk about how Roya will handle it. Qingji's cold voice rang out, and what Cap just said also made him accumulate a lot of anger. At this moment, his mood was very bad. Notify all naval units that once Roya is discovered, an invitation will be sent to him to appoint him as a brigadier general in the headquarters. There is currently no conclusive evidence to prove that this was done by Roya. Instead of establishing an enemy for the Navy, it is better to recruit him to our camp. Lieutenant General Crane calmly analyzed, her rich experience keeping her calm. Let's make that decision. I will personally draft the document and submit it to the 5 old stars. No one refuted at the scene, and the Warring States immediately instructed his subordinates to pay attention in real time. If they encounter Roya, they will invite him to join the Navy. So the meeting came to an end, and everyone left the seat one after another. Hajio. At this time, Roya, who was piloting a ship in the sea, was unaware that a meeting had been held for him by senior naval officials due to the 16th branch incident. Strange, who's talking about me? I sneezed several times today, did I catch a cold? It's impossible. How could the physique of a steel balloon catch a cold? Just go find Nami to keep warm. Roya walked towards Nami with a joyful face, and since the defeat of the dragon, Nami had developed a deep dependence and sense of security towards Roya. After this period of habit, she no longer rejects Loya's affectionate actions. Considering the long cooling time for this check.In, Roya did not directly go to Rog Town to wait, but chose to wander around various places in the East China Sea. Every time he arrives in a city or village, he will taste specialty food at the local restaurant and purchase the recipe for specialty dishes from the shop owner. Even, he deliberately went to the sea restaurant Belati and spent 50 million belly to fully replenish his body's energy, which made Nami and Karina feel heartbroken and burst into tears. After enjoying these delicacies, Roya's body underwent further changes. Host. Roya, Power. A. Agile. B+, Spirit. B. Skills. Kendo B, Armed Color Dominance C+, Seeing and Hearing Color Dominance C+, Dominance Color Dominance C+, Navy Type 6 Shaving C+, Moon Step C+, Fruit Ability. Drifting Fruit B, Talent. Steel Balloon, Equipment. Kuki, Sakura 10, Comprehensive Evaluation. You have reached the rank of Navy Elite Major General. You have established yourself on the Great Route. At this moment, Roya felt that as he consumed more food, his body's strengthening was also constantly improving, and his energy seemed to be gradually changing his physique. The most obvious improvement is that the three attributes of strength, agility, and spirit have each increased by a small level, and swordsmanship has gradually risen to B. level through cultivation. Combined with other attributes, although he is able to establish himself in the sea, it is still not easy to compete with those powerful forces. Currently, Roya urgently hopes to enhance the domineering aura of the Overlord color, but this skill cannot be enhanced through regular cultivation and can only grow with the growth of his own stamina. The stronger his stamina, the stronger the Overlord color's domineering aura will be. We still need to constantly strive to improve other skills. Nami, is Belati's chef willing to teach them the cooking secrets? Roya looked at Nami, who had just returned, with nothing to do. She hugged her from behind and leaned her head against her shoulder. The chef with a squinting expression is very talkative. I just said I wanted to learn this cooking technique, so he taught me all his insights. Nami squeezed her eyes at Loya and gestured okay. Roya grinned and gave a thumbs up. It was truly you, Nami, who could easily obtain these cooking secrets. Over the past few days, the women on the ship, apart from practicing, have been most passionate about cooking. Due to not meeting the physical requirements for practicing shaving and moonwalking, the current training for Nami and her companions mainly focuses on physical fitness, but also maintains a moderate training intensity. Roya doesn't want to see Nami, Karina, and Nochi become muscular due to overtraining. Among them, Noqigao is particularly interested in Loya's swordsmanship. In addition to arranging her physical training, Luoya also spent some time teaching her swordsmanship, but unexpectedly Noqigao applied the swordsmanship she had learned to cooking, which made Luoya laugh and cry. Oh my, there's really nothing we can do about you two. It should be around time to go to Log Town, otherwise we'll miss your plan. Karina walked out of the cabin and saw Nami returning. After receiving the cooking experience she brought back, she began to focus on studying. A few days ago, all the women on board the ship of Loya, including Loya herself, had already studied advanced cooking classics in the training room, and their cooking skills had all jumped to the intermediate level. Among them, Noqigao, with her outstanding talent and existing foundation, quickly elevated her cooking skills to a higher level after learning and practicing, becoming the most outstanding member of the ship's cooking skills. She has now taken on the role of the head chef on board. I have successfully grasped the essence of Barati's cuisine, and it seems that it is indeed time to set off. Where are Noqigao and Kia now? Loya gently caressed Nami, who was nestled in her arms, but received a shy punch from the latter. At this moment, Nami does not yet possess the carefree attitude in the original work. If she were the bold and straightforward Nami in the original work, she probably wouldn't mind it too much. Noqigao is still dedicated to developing new dishes in the kitchen, as you know, this is her current passion. As for Kia, she is focused on organizing notes and studying medicine in her own room. Karina shrugged helplessly, clearly unable to adapt to the intimacy between the two. Although Roya usually tries to get close to her, she is often blocked by Karina's use of barriers, leaving only Roya with a mournful gaze. If we sail at full speed, I think we can reach Logue town in about 2 days. Luo Yasong opened Nami's arms and announced to the two women, "You guys go back to the cabin first. I'll control the sailboat. Remember to tell Noqigao to reserve a copy of her new research results for me. I also want to taste it." After 2 days of smooth and slightly bumpy sailing, they arrived safely in the town of Logue. During this time, we encountered a fierce storm, but fortunately, thanks to Nami's weather-sensing ability, the sailboat was able to avoid the center of the storm. When Roya raised the sailboat to a height of 10,000 meters, he successfully avoided the fierce wind and rain. System prompt. The check.In system has detected the target town of Logue. Do you want to proceed with check.In? Sign in. System prompt. Obtain a gift pack of experience points for armed color dominance. System prompt. Obtain 1 ton of Xinjin metal. System prompt. Obtain technical information for the arc reactor. Roya secretly praised in her heart that the reward for this check.In far exceeded expectations. You should know that items such as Xinjin and arc reactor were originally products of the Mayman worldview. Unexpectedly, the check.In system was able to extract technology and materials from other worlds, rather than just some modified products, such as the previously obtained black chicken and white phoenix pills and storage space. A thought flashed in Roya's mind, and he had already found a way to enhance the combat effectiveness of Nami and Noki. Qingming outing and happy reading. Charge 100 and get 500 VIP coupons. Immediate recharge, activity period. April 4th to April 6th. Chapter 6. Armed Color Entanglement. You are listening at novelfull.audio. In addition, the Armed Color Domineering Experience Value gift obtained through this check.In has successfully elevated Roya's strength level to B. level. Every leap in power level brings significant improvement, and now Roya can clearly feel that the attack and defense power bestowed by her own armed color entanglement have become stronger. Even if specific application skills have not yet been learned from Nagri, as proficiency improves, those skills will naturally gradually be mastered. What are you standing there staring at? Karina called out loudly to Roya, who was staring at the port. Oh, here we go. Roya suddenly regained consciousness and quickly caught up with the footsteps of several women. Noqigao and Kia are planning to purchase ingredients. What are your plans? Nami asked. I roughly want to take a look at the execution platform of the Pirate King and then take a stroll around. Where are you going to take a stroll? Roya thought for a moment and realized that he had no special destination, so he responded. Nami and I are going to visit a clothing store. Since you have nothing else to do, we'll have to work hard for you to help us carry things. Upon hearing that Loya had nothing important to do, Karina immediately showed a proud smile and grabbed Loya's arm, seductive in her tone. Roya couldn't resist the temptation and immediately nodded in agreement. However, the following experience made him truly appreciate the pain of accompanying women shopping. Shouldn't that be enough? Loya looked haggard, as if all her energy had been drained away. What are you saying? This is just the beginning. Karina turned around and caught a glimpse of Roya's appearance, covering her mouth and chuckling lightly. All right, hold on a little longer, and I'll give you a reward when it's over. It'll be over soon, Karina said with a seductive smile as she comforted Roya. We really need to change to a bigger sailboat. Let's go to the shipyard together later. When it comes to rewards, Roya immediately brightens up. Although he still had lingering fear in his heart about accompanying a woman shopping, he decided to accept the challenge. After accompanying the two women on a shopping trip, Roya went alone to the execution stand of the One Piece. The scene in front of him did not have the shock shown in the animation, but only gave him a slight sense of the presence that lingered in this place. Later, he wandered around the town of Logue and found the record pointers for the Great Route. He purchased some record pointers and eternal pointers from a map store. Finally, Roya arrived at the shipyard, where he selected a triangular sailboat similar in size to the Golden Mary and spent a total of 20 million yuan on Bailey. However, for someone with a wealth of 3.7 billion yuan on Bailey, this expenditure was only equivalent to a few meals. Since the last time he received a huge sum of money from Colonel Mouse, Roya realized that he didn't need to put in too much effort to earn money. Just as Roya was busy moving supplies from the sailboat, a group of navies appeared in front of him. The leader among them is the White Hunter, Smog, a navy who upholds justice in his heart. The reason why he is called an old acquaintance is because this White Hunter often appears in the online novels he read in his past life, and every time he ends up in a disheveled state, even in the animation plot, he cannot escape this fate. Following Smog is a woman with short hair and red-framed glasses. Dashi. Although she was a character full of courage and justice in the later stages, it now seems that there is a significant difference between the initial image and the later one. Dashi suddenly felt a chill and couldn't help but tighten her tight-fitting clothes, and walked with Smog to Loya. "Are you the recently famous double-blade sword hero Roya?" Smog exhaled smoke and asked this question in a positive tone. "That's right, may I ask if there's anything you're looking for me for?" Roya felt a bit puzzled. A few days ago, he read a report by Morgan Gangs and thought the Navy would suspect him and issue a wanted notice for him. However, there hasn't been any news from the Navy in the past, so he thought the Navy might not have paid too much attention to this unknown little character. "I am Navy Colonel Smog stationed in Rog Town, and on behalf of the Navy headquarters, I would like to extend an invitation to you." Smog slowly exhaled a smoke ring and looked sharply at Roya. "As long as you join the Navy, you can go to the Navy headquarters to be awarded the rank of Brigadier General and publicly recognize your achievements in fighting pirates in the East China Sea. With your strength, I believe you will soon be promoted to the rank of Major General." However, at this moment, Roya was somewhat confused, not realizing that this was another proposal to invite him to join the Navy. It turned out that the Navy had previously remained silent, and its true intention was to do so. "Sorry, I am more inclined towards a free and unrestrained life. Compared to following a fixed routine in the Navy, I am more inclined to enjoy the freedom outside." Roya politely declined Smog's invitation with a smile. However, shouldn't people with strong capabilities shoulder the responsibility of upholding maritime justice? If a bounty hunter like Lord Roya with extraordinary strength could join the Navy, he would definitely be highly valued. Dashi couldn't help but express her opinion on the side. "Dashi." "Yes, sir." Smog stopped her with a hint of displeasure, making her immediately solemn and revered. "You don't need to say much about this issue." Smog glanced helplessly at Dashi Chi and then explained. "Little girl, upholding justice is certainly valuable, but you cannot use it to constrain my personal choices. I yearn for freedom, explore the mysteries of the world, appreciate the beauty of the world, and am willing to spend my life with the crew in the ordinary. This is the way of life that I pursue. Therefore, I can only apologize for your invitation. But I have emphasized that you don't need to say much about this issue." Dashi attempted to say something more, but was sternly stopped by Smog once again. "Could you reconsider?" Smog gazed meaningfully at Roya. Roya shook her head and refused again. "Since that's the case, we have no right to force civilians to join the Navy. Since Lord Roya has no intention, we will not force it either. Next, I would like to ask you a personal question. Would you be willing to have a showdown with me?" Seeing that the persuasion was ineffective, Smog no longer persisted, but sincerely issued an invitation for the competition. It's rare for someone to take the initiative to come and challenge themselves, and they truly live up to the reputation of being the king of losers. Roya chuckled inwardly that since he had come to this world, if he didn't teach Smog a lesson, it would appear that this trip was not perfect. So, Roya gladly fought back. Navy members quickly evacuated the surrounding civilians, leaving a spacious area on the scene. Smog and Roya stood face to face. Roya drew out her two swords and assumed a combat posture. That's the famous knives Kuki and Sakura 10, but it seems that the maintenance of the blade is not good. Dashi exclaimed in surprise, then felt regret and heartache. Aren't these two knives always in the hands of the legendary pirate Golden Lion? Why did they appear here? Daki looked at Roya with a puzzled expression on her face. Upon hearing Dashi's question, Smog's eyes became sharper and he asked in a slightly chilly tone. Roya, what is your relationship with the Golden Lion? Why do you hold his double swords? Qingming outing and happy reading. Charge 100 and get 500 VIP coupons. Immediate recharge, activity period. April 4th to April 6th. Chapter 7. Don't be enemies of the Navy. You are listening at Novel Full.audio. Faced with the revelation of the source of the sword, Roya did not show any panic and instead responded casually. Well, it was taken from a corpse with legs inserted into a sword blade. I once drifted and lived on a small island for 5 years, often finding some supplies by the seaside. One day, a golden-haired uncle drifted to the island, but when I was about to rescue him, I found that he had already passed away. In the end, I could only take off the two swords from his legs and bury him. Is that a problem? Faced with Luoya's calm and composed expression, and lacking conclusive evidence, Smog could not determine him as a pirate based solely on two swords. After learning the news that the great pirate Golden Lion had died, Smog stopped asking further questions. It's okay, it's just a bit curious. Roya waved his hand to signal that Smog could attack now. In an instant, smoke overflowed and Smog transformed into a white smoke rushing towards him. White fist, the arms turned into smoke and detached from the body, shooting out like bullets. Roya calmly flashed and easily avoided the blow. The white fist that missed the target spun around Roya, and the white mist gradually thickened, as if it was about to engulf Roya. Roya remained calm in this regard, and this move posed no substantial threat to him. He unleashed his shaving moment and moved behind Smog, wielding both his swords with the power of his armed and domineering aura, unleashing a slashing wave with all his might. This move is exactly the Armstrong Whirlwind accelerated jet Armstrong Whirlwind slash that Roya used when capturing the pirate niche earlier. However, this time the energy was not accumulated for too long, and the additional power was relatively small, so it was simplified as Armstrong Whirlwind slash. Given that Smog is aware of the existence of the Golden Lion, the naval headquarters should have intelligence about it, and Roya does not want to reveal his identity by showcasing the Golden Lion's swordsmanship. Bang! Smog, who was hit, transformed into a black shadow that penetrated a building and fell heavily. Colonel Smog. Daki called anxiously, how could it be? Colonel Smog, as a natural demon fruit ability, ordinary attacks could not have touched his entity. How could this be? Daki was still immersed in the shock of Smog being repelled. Inside the smoky residential building, Smog coughed up 2 mouthfuls of blood and struggled to stand up. The blow just now was indeed a domineering attack with armed colors. Unexpectedly, a newcomer who mastered armed colors appeared in the East China Sea. Smog leaned against the wall and walked out of the collapsed house, speaking confidently. Indeed, that's true. Roya replied with a smile, do you still want to continue the competition? No, I can't compete with you. If we continue to fight, the result will still be my defeat. Smog remained silent for a moment, painfully accepting reality. I just hope you don't become an enemy of the Navy. Smog glanced at Roya with fear and then led the navy to evacuate. Roya waved goodbye to him. Unexpectedly, he has mastered both the dominance of the king color and the dominance of the armed color, and the action of evading my attack just now clearly shows that he has also understood the dominance of the seeing and hearing color. Combining 3 types of domineering aura with his astonishing power, he is truly an extremely dangerous figure. He must immediately report this matter to the Marshal of the Warring States. Smog gently caressed the spot where Roya had hit him in the chest, where there was still intense pain, but in front of his subordinates, Smog still held on to his face. On the other hand, after defeating Smog, the system sent a new prompt sound. Ding, the next check.In location is Alabaston, and check.In will open in 40 days. Please proceed to the check.In location to complete the check.In. Ha! Why does it take 40 days to sign in this time when the interval between each check.In used to be 5 days? Although Roya was puzzled, there happened to be a place he wanted to visit during this time. Beihai. Roya stood on the deck, flipping through today's newspaper in her hands. Today's news is undoubtedly extremely shocking. The end of the age of pirates. The legendary pirate Golden Lion, Shiji, unexpectedly fell on a small island in the East China Sea. Captain Ace of the Spades Pirates failed to challenge Whitebeard and has now joined the Whitebeard Pirates as his second team captain. Morgan Stanley's intelligence network is so sensitive that it may also have infiltrated within the Navy. Roya had known that Ace would join the Whitebeard flag, and the newspaper she had read before also mentioned Ace's intention to challenge Whitebeard. Loya, do you have any new discoveries? Nami stepped out of the cabin and asked as she watched Loya leisurely fishing. Roya shook his head and said, not yet. Even the country in fairy tales is too bizarre. If I hadn't gone through so many things with you, I would never have accompanied you to make trouble. Nami looked helpless. 10 days ago, Roya proposed to explore a kingdom called Jelma in the North Sea. At first, Nami and others were not familiar with the details of the North Sea, but thought it would be good to broaden their horizons. It was not until they arrived locally to gather intelligence about the kingdom of Jelma that they were shocked to learn that it was a country that only existed in comic books, a scene from fairy tales. This surprised all the girls, as it was unbelievable that Roya was going to find a country from a fairy tale. So they all inquired about the situation of the kingdom of Jelma, and only with Loya's explanation did they learn that Jelma 66 was a well-known assassin family in the underground world. The so-called fairy tales are actually stories portrayed in comics based on the villainous forces shaped by Jelma 66 as the prototype. Afterwards, Roya began to sweep the local mafia, went through several island cleanups, and finally obtained clues from a mafia that had previously cooperated with Jelma 66, and traced them to this place based on this. It seems that we can only continue searching in the surrounding area. Those bastards and gangsters, if they dare to deceive me, I will definitely eradicate their family when I go back. Roya gritted his teeth in hatred. The address provided by the gang was where the kingdom of Jelma stayed 2 days ago. As the kingdom of Jelma is a mobile country, finding them is not an easy task. However, considering its large size, its movement speed is unlikely to be too fast. Luoya then exerted all his strength to unleash his aura of seeing and hearing, hovering in the sky, his gaze fixed on below, hoping to discover the trace of Jelma 66. Whatever you want, I need to go back and take a beauty nap. Nami waved her hand and prepared to return to the cabin with a dejected expression. Don't worry, I feel quite bored watching here myself. Come and chat with me, said Loya with a sly smile, grabbing Nami's wrist and forcefully pulling her into her arms. It's you who insisted on finding Jelma 66, not me. Nami rolled her eyes and became accustomed to Loya's actions. In this way, half a day passed, and Nami couldn't bear Loya's frivolous behavior and fled in embarrassment. You're still young, not carefree enough. Luoya sighed, although secretly happy in his heart. After all, his relationship with Nami has come one step closer. He imagined Nami in 2 years, even though she was already very plump now, in his eyes, she was still inferior to the future Nami. Oh, what's that? Roya, who was idle, was looking aimlessly into the distance when suddenly he noticed something unusual. In his line of sight, there was a slowly moving small black dot at the horizon. Under careful gaze, it was evident that the goal he had been diligently pursuing was the kingdom of Jelma. Qingming outing and happy reading. Charge 100 and get 500 VIP coupons. Immediate recharge, activity period. April 4th to April 6th. Chapter 8. Barrier Fruits. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Great, I finally found it. Fortunately, those guys didn't lie to me. Loya was excited, and sure enough, the aerial reconnaissance had a wide field of vision, and the harvest was quite fruitful. Then he quickly returned to the cabin and told the other women the news. Did you really find it? Karina looked surprised. She didn't have much hope for Roya's trip, but she didn't expect him to accidentally find his target. Indeed, just stay on the ship, it may be a bit dangerous this time. Since that's the case, why don't you take me with you? My barrier fruit can also help. Karina felt reluctant and thought that Loya's move was a bit dismissive of her. Nowadays, the strength of the several women has significantly improved compared to before, especially in terms of their ability to shield fruits. Karina is confident that she can be one of the combat forces, but Loya has left her on board, making her feel greatly underestimated. Listen, the enemy we are facing this time is unusual. Germa 66 has air combat capabilities, and I'm worried they might hijack others, so you need to stay on the ship to protect everyone. Roya smiled and stroked Karina's hair before leaving the cabin. He searched for the kingdom of Germa only for one purpose, which was the arc reactor. There are many people in the world today who can manufacture such equipment, but each one is extremely rare, and the kingdom of Jelma happens to have such capabilities. In addition, Roya also plans to commission the Jelma royal family to create a set of combat uniforms for himself and several women, and upgrade his sword at the same time. Although Kuki Sakura 10 has already entered the ranks of the big sharp knives, the excellent performance of the vibrating gold material, especially its ability to absorb impact force, has made him very tempted. If Xinjing is put into the double sword, it will undoubtedly greatly enhance its own strength. Adding this material that absorbs impact to the combat suit will definitely have an excellent effect. With a longing for a bright future, Roya accelerated her pace of progress. As soon as it approached the airspace of the kingdom of Jelma, an alarm sounded below. Obviously, it has been discovered by the other party, but this is exactly what Roya's purpose is. Instead of secretly infiltrating and then escalating conflicts before negotiating, it's better to engage in a frontal confrontation first and then sit down and have a good conversation. Jelma is not an easy character to deal with, and collaborating with him without equal strength is undoubtedly a suicidal pursuit. Roya's first priority is to demonstrate her own strength. Only by making the other party aware of her strength can she make them hesitant to play tricks. Soon, a large number of soldiers surged out of the castle. Subsequently, the figures of Wudao, dressed in battle uniforms of different colors, appeared, including the ruler of the kingdom of Jelma, Wensmok Gotzi, and his 4 children. Invader, what is your purpose in coming here? Jiaji saw that the visitor was unfamiliar, and judging from their temperament, he decided to inquire about the situation first. I hope the kingdom of Jelma can help me customize a batch of combat uniforms and recast my sword. Oh, by the way, if it's convenient, can the little sister in pink clothes let me take her back to the ship? I fell in love with her at first sight, Roya joked, her face full of relief. Are you joking? Do you think Jelma is your servant? If you dare to come and provoke me, I think you are living impatiently. Upon hearing Roya's words, Gotzi was furious and his veins jumped on his forehead. When Roya spread out her hands and expressed her attitude, no matter what technology you bring, the only outcome of challenging Jelma is death. That's right, I know the rules. Isn't it just a competition first, come on. Roya smiled helplessly, not expecting the other party to accept easily from the beginning, so he made his own request directly. After this competition is over, everything will become clear. Gotsi is an extremely cowardly person who always exposes his cowardly nature when facing crises. It would be much easier to negotiate the terms at that time. The premise is that you must have the ability to surpass him. Coincidentally, at this moment, Roya is in an extremely powerful state. Leijio, Izzy, let him see the true power of Jelma. Gotsi calmly issued the command. Upon receiving the command, Leijio and Izzy immediately entered the preparation mode, and in an instant, they approached Roya from both sides. Aren't you planning to go up together? Roya asked Gotsi. Are you looking down on us? Upon hearing Loya's inquiry to Gotsi, although Iji felt looked down upon, he did not show any emotions due to his ruthless personality. If we don't go together, we're afraid you'll soon lose your resistance, Roya shook her head and said in a flat tone, as if stating something inevitable. Alright, you can leave now. Roya Shurjan quickly moved behind Iji and kicked him deep into the forest of the kingdom. This kick was merciless, blending in the dominance of armed and domineering colors, coupled with Roya's unusual physique, almost causing Iji's waist to fracture. The rest of the people on site only had one thought in their minds. So fast. No one dared to be careless and entered a state of full-scale combat. However, compared to 4 years later, their strength is still relatively immature, and currently the only person who can constitute true combat power is probably Jiaji. At this time, Jiaji's strength was only barely reaching the rank of Navy Lieutenant General. Due to technological limitations, he had not yet reached the level he would have in 4 years, relying on technology. Now your strength is still too immature, it's best to leave first. As soon as Loya finished speaking, his figure had already come to Niji and Yongji's side. When the two of them broke out in a cold sweat, but before they could move, they were grabbed by Roya's head and squeezed hard like a walnut. They frothed and fell to the ground in an instant. The power of Roya is not a joke. Despite being transformed by the bloodline factor, and having a body like steel tendons and iron bones, after Roya infused strong domineering aura, these transformed individuals were unable to resist it. Niji. Brave governance. Leijio anxiously called out. Loya comforted her and said, Don't worry, Mississippi. They just fainted. But I suggest you don't act rashly. I don't want to take action against you. Jiaji's face was gloomy, and he ordered Leijio to retreat, while Leijio followed the order and immediately retreated. People who have undergone genetic modification must obey the orders of Gotsi. You are different from everyone else, no wonder you have the courage to invade the kingdom of Jelma, but if you think Jelma only has this strength, then you are completely wrong. Jiaji chuckled inwardly, clone troops, everyone attack. Jiaji is full of confidence. He believes that even if the opponent is strong, they are far from reaching the level of the 4 emperors. He only needs to use the tactics of a sea of people to exhaust their strength, and waiting for them to show signs of fatigue is the best time to counterattack. But he overlooked one thing, which is that Loya has a monster-like physique like Charlotte Lingling, and his physical strength is not a problem for him at all. Do you want to use the tactic of a sea of people? It's just a futile move. Since they are all replicates, I don't need to be lenient. Don't come to me for wasting human resources. Roya only then drew out his unused double swords. He had not even used his swords against Iji, Niji, and Yongji before, and his strength and speed alone were enough. Nowadays, the clone soldiers are surging like a tide, fearless and without emotional fluctuations, and the domineering pressure has little impact on them. Lion, Thousand Cut Valley. Sharp sword energy swept through the clone army like a gust of wind and rain, and those clone soldiers were cut off by the sword energy like cutting melons and vegetables. Is this armed and domineering? In the first half of the Great Voyage, there were characters who possessed domineering power, and that move seemed to be the move of the Golden Lion. Qingming outing and happy reading. Charge 100 and get 500 VIP coupons. Immediate recharge, activity period. April 4th to April 6th. Chapter 9. I am a fluttering fruit ability. You are listening at novelfull.audio. What kind of person are you? Gutsy was shocked. Just now, when Loya kicked Izzy away, he couldn't see clearly due to the short time. However, after Loya waved his two swords, he could clearly see that the swords were covered with armed colors and strong, clearly mastering the hardened entanglement and outward aura. Me. Mr. Ski can be considered my master, even though I only studied with him for 2 years. Roya was immersed in memories, recalling the 2 years spent with Ski. I see, you are the heir of the Golden Lion. I remember, you are the double-blade bounty hunter Roya mentioned in the recent news, and the news about the death of the Golden Lion also came from you, right? Oh. I didn't expect you to still know my name. I thought I was hiding deep and didn't receive much attention. Jia Yofa became wary of Luoya. This man has been acting quietly, but now he deliberately exposes his identity. What is his intention? At some point, Jiaji's arrogance subsided a lot and his attitude softened. Have you calmed down? So now we can talk. Seeing that Gotzi's attitude had changed, Loya smiled and said, if you think I'm here to subdue Jelma 66, then I can make it clear to you that even if I do my best, I can never agree. After much contemplation, Gotzi could only conclude that Loya came to subdue Jelma 66. Otherwise, a man who has endured to this day, it seems unnecessary to expose himself for just a few sets of combat uniforms. In Gotzi's eyes, Roya had become a skilled hidden mastermind behind the scenes. It seems you misunderstood something. I didn't come here to win over Jelma, on the contrary, I came to seek cooperation. Take a look at this first. Roya burst out laughing and threw a simple design diagram of the arc reactor to Gotzi. Jiaji picked up the blueprint and carefully examined it, and soon his face changed dramatically. Where did you get this thing? If this energy design can be applied to combat suits, its power can be increased by at least 5 times. The intricate design of the drawings displayed by Roya made it difficult for him, even though he had been immersed in scientific research for a long time, to understand its function. If we want to gain a deeper understanding, we need to find a more suitable place for conversation. Roya did not directly respond to the inquiry about value, but instead proposed a suggestion to change the location for further discussion. Come with me, Lei Jiu, you also come with me. After careful consideration, Jiaji made a decision and savored Luo Yagang's words before inviting Lei Jiu. Jiaji ordered the clone soldiers to send the fallen Izzy, Niji, and Yongji back for treatment, and then led Roya towards the magnificent main castle. So, what conditions do you need to submit this drawing under? In a solemn conference hall of the castle, Gotzi sat firmly on his head and asked Loya about it. As I mentioned earlier, I am here to seek cooperation. If King Jiaji is still struggling with the issue of sincerity, then it may not be very meaningful. Roya chuckled lightly and found it interesting that Gotzi was attempting to obtain the blueprint through exchange. The immeasurable value of this blueprint, especially for the Jelma 66, which relied on technology to enhance combat effectiveness, was undoubtedly priceless. Lei Jiu, I can deliver it to you. I am also willing to customize the battle suit for you, including the sword you need. I will also help you recast it. This way, you should be satisfied, right? Jia Ji let out a long sigh and chose to compromise. Father, you. Lei Jiu was quite surprised. She was just guessing why Jiaji wanted her to participate in this discussion, but she didn't expect to become a bargaining chip in the transaction. Roya shook her head and gave a negative answer. Not enough. What? So what else do you want? Jiaji appeared slightly angry, and despite meeting all the conditions previously proposed by the other party, he was met with remorse. However, considering the importance of the drawings, he still suppressed his emotions. "Don't be angry, I just have a few small requests. I agree to share the technology of the arc reactor with you, but in the future, if I need a new combat suit, you must be responsible for making it. Don't worry, the quantity won't be too large. Also, I heard that people who have undergone bloodline factor modification cannot disobey your orders. I hope you can lift this setting on Leggio." Royato smiled and observed Gotzi's reaction with great interest. Leggio was slightly surprised when she heard this. Luoya's words were not a joke. Could what he had said before about love at first sight be true? As one of the few reformed children in the Wensmock family who still retain emotions, Leggio yearns for the vastness and freedom of the ocean in her heart. Due to her inability to disobey her father's orders, she has been trapped in this kingdom. Back then, it was out of this longing that she assisted Sanji in escaping from this place. After contemplation, Jiaji gradually calmed down and carefully considered the conditions proposed by Roya. "If that's all, I can promise you. Leggio, from now on, you don't have to obey my orders anymore, just follow Captain Roya's actions." After the seemingly contradictory command of Jiaji was issued, it seemed as if a certain switch had been triggered. Leggio felt her body instantly relax a lot, and the shackles that were originally unable to resist Jiaji's command also disappeared. To lift this restriction, only a word from Jiaji was needed. "That's right, this is the complete blueprint." Roya took out the design drawings of the arc reactor and handed them to Gotzi, who carefully examined them as if they were treasures. "How long does it take to add arc reactor technology to the combat suit?" Roya continued to ask. "Uncertain, maybe for a month, maybe for 2 months, or even for a year, everything depends on the results of the experiment." Jiaji focused on the information and answered without looking up. Subsequently, Roya threw out a special alloy that had been cut, successfully attracting Gotzi's attention. He did not take out all the Jinjin, but instead used the system to divide it into 4 parts. "What material is this?" Jiaji was full of questions and picked up the metal to examine. "This is an extremely hard alloy. Can you integrate it into my sword and battle suit?" Roya did not disclose all the benefits of Jinjin, only mentioning its incredibly hard characteristics. Jinjin, also known as sound-absorbing steel, is not the hardest substance in the Marvel Universe, but it ranks first in defense due to its ability to absorb kinetic energy. "This is not a problem. I have the most advanced equipment manufacturing facilities here, and any hard material can melt. When can my sword be repaired and upgraded?" "Keep the sword and ensure it is completed within 3 days. This is my phone worm. After it is completed, I will notify you to come and collect it." After listening, Loya pulled out his double swords from his waist and handed them over, and Gotzi also handed a telephone worm to Loya. "Since that's the case, I'll wait for the good news and hope that the matter of the battle suit can be handled as soon as possible." Before leaving, Roya suddenly stopped and turned around meaningfully, with a hint of coldness in her eyes. "You should be aware that I am a person with the ability to float fruits, right?" Roya mentioned this because he did not deliberately conceal his body shape during his invasion. Gotzi should have witnessed him floating in the sky, and with his identity as the heir of the Golden Lion, Gotzi should be able to speculate that he had acquired the ability to float the fruit. "What do you mean by that?" Jiaji frowned, unable to understand the true intention of Loya's move. "Although I am not sure why Senior Platinum Lion rarely uses this method, I must make one point. The power of floating fruits can lift the entire island into the air or cause it to fall. Therefore, no matter where you hide, whether it's the territory of the 4 emperors or the headquarters of the navy, I can find you and easily throw these gifts from high altitude. Qingming outing and happy reading. Charge 100 and get 500 VIP coupons. Immediate recharge, activity period. April 4th to April 6th. Chapter 10. Nami's Care for Me. You are listening at novelfull.audio. So please ensure that no additional mechanisms are added to the combat suit. I will send someone to inspect it. Once any abnormalities are found, no wonder I don't care about Leijio's feelings and show no mercy to your subordinates. Loya said and didn't forget to blink at Leijio. At this moment, Jiaji already understood that this was a warning from Roya, but he just snorted coldly. Humph, since I have agreed to cooperate with you, I naturally won't play tricks in the battle suit. When the finished product is ready, I will verify its authenticity. That's really great. Looking forward to our pleasant cooperation this time, King Jiaji. If there are new technologies emerging in the future, I will come back to you again. Roya waved goodbye and walked out of the conference hall with a smile on her face, holding onto Leijio's arm even harder, making her snuggle tightly by her side. Then, using the power of flying fruits, they flew rapidly towards the triangular sailboat in the sky. After Loya left, Gutsy showed a deep and passionate expression. Such exquisite energy technology is even more profound than the technology of the Bega Punk people, which is beyond the reach of the current era and simply surpasses the technological level of the next millennium. Immersed in the blueprint of the arc reactor, Gutsy couldn't help but exclaim to himself. On the other hand, Roya returned to the sailboat with Leijio. As soon as it landed, the women gathered around to inquire about Loya's situation. Loya, are you okay? Nami rushed forward first and carefully checked if there were any injuries on Roya's body. Don't worry, I'm fine. I didn't tell you before. With my strength, no one in the four seas and the paradise can harm me at all. Roya looked at Nami with a gentle expression on her face. During this period of coexistence, Nami was initially forced to join, gradually building trust, and now their relationship has become increasingly close. Ha! Who is she? At this moment, Nami only noticed Leijio in Luoya's arms. Previously, due to excessive concern for Luoya, she did not pay attention to Leijio in his arms when she came up. But now when he calmed down, he found out that Luoya still had a strange woman in his arms. This made Nami feel a hint of jealousy in her heart. She glared at Leijio and pinched Luoya's waist with her hand, conveying a message with her eyes. Humph, you Loya, I've been worried about you for a long time here, and you're actually going to hook up with other women. Hello everyone, I am Wensmock Rejoice and I will become a member of Captain Roya in the future. Leijio introduced herself in a friendly tone, with a slightly ambiguous expression on her face, and her head lightly resting on Roya's shoulder. There's no such thing as Loya's people, the crew is the crew, you newcomer, obediently line up to the end. Leijio's words seemed to touch Nami's sensitive nerves, making her instantly angry. Hee, Captain Roya fell in love with me at first sight and even requested me to join his fleet in the cooperation terms. Leijio smiled on her cheeks, teasing Nami intentionally or unintentionally in her words. Are you really fake? Loya, you playboy, you're really thinking about what's in the pot while eating from the bowl. Don't come to me again in the future. Nami was furious and wanted to push Roya away towards the cabin. How dare Roya let her leave now? She immediately grabbed Nami and comforted her, saying. What's going on? When didn't I love you the most? I just feel like there aren't many people on the ship, so find a few more companions to make everyone more lively. Loya explained with a bitter smile, and after some sweet words of comfort, the young girl Nami still couldn't resist Loya's love words and fled back to the cabin with a flushed face. After all, in such public places with her sister present, Nami is still somewhat shy. Leijio, you should also restrain yourself. When you get to know Nami for a while, you will know that she is actually a very good person. What kind of posture does Captain Roya think I should show? On the contrary, Leijio appeared even more charming. The usual situation is good. You can take a quick stroll first, and I will take you back to our base later. After all, we still have to stay here for 3 more days. Roya let go of Leijio, secretly grateful that she had not impulsively carried her back to the captain's cabin at this moment. Hello, Sister Leijio, I am Kuya, the ship doctor of this ship. Please take good care of me in the future. Kia walked forward with a smile and grabbed Leijio's hand. So you are Kia. Roya just mentioned you and said you are the little angel on the ship, who can come to see you whenever you get sick. Leijio responded with a spring breeze on her face. Kuya and Noqigao were not as hostile towards Leijio as Nami, and they quickly became acquainted. It has to be said that Leijio, with her gentle personality, elegant demeanor, and excellent social skills, indeed possesses a palace style. Hey, aren't you really interested in her? That's why you came specifically to Beihai to find her. Karina walked up to Roya and gently pressed her elbow against his abdomen, whispering. Hey, don't talk nonsense. Didn't I let you board the ship before because I liked you? I know you're a stubborn person. If you don't touch so many beautiful women on the ship, you're going to provoke those outside. Karina said helplessly. Hee, are you talking about yourself? Speaking of which, I remember someone once promised me a reward as long as they came back from shopping with her, but I don't know who forgot about it. Roya had a wicked smile on her face. Although she did not name her, Karina's cheeks had turned slightly red, attempting to refute. Oh, it's just a reward. Why bother so much? I'll compensate you when I have the chance in the future. No, I need it now. The bathroom on the new ship is indeed large enough, but I have always been the only one taking a shower, feeling a bit lonely. Why don't we take a shower together? Let's treat it as a small reward you gave me. As soon as the words fell, Roya lifted Karina directly onto her shoulder. Hey, can we change the reward? Besides, it's still daylight, so let's wait until evening to discuss the shower. Kalina blushed with embarrassment and leaned close to Roya's ear, pleading in a very soft voice. The sound is too low to hear clearly. Roya pretended not to hear and walked straight into the cabin. About an hour later, Roya opened the bathroom door, and the indoor heat was steaming. The two of them finished bathing and walked out of the bathroom. Karina rubbed her sore cheeks, her face still flushed with a hint of shyness. I really don't know where you learned these strange tricks. If it weren't for seeing that you're already tired, washing for a few more hours wouldn't be a problem. Karina rolled her eyes and turned back to her room. In fact, with Roya's steel balloon physique and the ability to absorb food energy, even in a fierce battle with the Fourth Emperor or a naval general for 10 consecutive days and nights, he can easily cope in a competition of equal strength. Perhaps the first one who cannot withstand it will be the naval general. Loya, with a satisfied expression on her face, changed into clothes and walked into the hall. At this moment, the hall was filled with laughter and the atmosphere was cheerful and harmonious. Leijio, Nami, and Noqigao were talking to each other, looking quite harmonious. Loya looked at this scene in surprise. Nami, who had just had a bad time with Leijio, was now chatting with Leijio with a smile on her face. What's going on? Roya looked confused. At this moment, Leijio first noticed his arrival and playfully blinked at him. Look at this ability, she is truly a woman with max social skills. Compared to you, a little girl like Nami is really immature. Qingming outing and happy reading. Charge 100 and get 500 VIP coupons. Immediate recharge, activity period. April 4th to April 6th.